Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, and today I'm here to talk about Season 2, Episode 9 of Apple TV's Silo, entitled The Safeguard. I'd also like to welcome everyone to One Mic 2025. The shows and films slated to be released this year. They really give me hope that this is going to be a strong year, and I look forward to covering it here on One Mic. You know, I started this channel in November 2020. Hopefully this will be the best year because we're off to a several-year slow head start, but after a disappointing 2024, both in television and in regard to my channel's performance, I have really high expectations for 2025. I don't know if we can reach 2022 levels, but the outlook is still promising. So today I'm here to talk about the penultimate episode of Season 2 of Silo, a show that is going to be prominently featured in my biggest disappointments video coming very soon to the Patreon, probably certainly sometime this week. I've been pretty hard on this show this season, and I think rightfully so. Anyone who has followed this channel since Season 1 knows how much I love Silo. So you know it's coming from a real place when I talk about how disappointing this season has been. Like, very rarely do I come into a show, like, I come in with expectations, but not necessarily hopes. Like, I expected this season to be great, but I also wanted it to be great because of how much I liked Season 1. And when someone's coming into your show like predetermined to like it, you have to be doing a really bad job to fuck up that person's opinion, and yet that's where we stand. Now, this episode 9, was the best episode of the season by a mile. Granted, that's not saying much, but nothing that happened this week or that will happen next week in the finale can change my opinion of the season. The season is an abject failure, period, in my opinion. And it's just as I've been saying for the past few weeks. You know, they've slowly dragged this shit out just to hit us over the head in the final 2 episodes. And no matter how good this episode or the finale are, it won't unfuck the first 8 episodes of tedium and illogical actions meant to prolong and drag out the season. Having said that, this episode was pretty good, and not just because it provided answers either. Like, there were a couple of really strong character moments in this episode, and that ending, like that final scene, I was blown away, and I don't use that phrasing lightly. Like, it's very rare that I physically react to something that I see on the screen, but my jaw dropped during that scene. I mean, literally, just like shocked. Pause. Jaw dropping. But I'd be willing to bet if you pull up my video for Season 1, Episode 1, I probably at least mentioned the idea that George's supposed tunnel under the water probably connected our silo with other ones. So when Lucas finally arrives at the tunnel after nearly 2 full seasons, I was absolutely certain what we were going to see. Like, I figured the door would be numbered. I didn't want to assume that the tunnel that we were seeing would be connected to the Solo's silo, but I figured probably it's going to have like a number 17 on it. You know, I figured Lucas would find a way to get this door open, continue through the tunnel, and emerge somewhere in a neighboring silo, probably Solo's silo. So when those lights came on and that voice started speaking, man, I was blown away, dog. Absolutely floored in the best possible way. I was completely blindsided. I did not see that coming at all. And not only was that unexpected, but that was just like an undeniably cool turn of events. Like, I have no fucking clue what's going to happen anymore. Like, I thought I was at least in the ballpark of knowing what was going to happen, but that scene was the most sci-fi scene on the show by far. And it honestly made me really excited for the finale and for the next / final 2 seasons. At the same time, I'm trying to like temper that excitement because the Season 1 finale created certain expectations not unlike the ones that the scene with Lucas just created. You know, I don't want to get excited for all the possibilities that this creates, only to end up disappointed like I ultimately am with this season. But I do think having a moment like that with 1 episode left does give them the opportunity to showcase where the show is going, and I hope they take full advantage of that on Friday. Hey everybody, I just want to take a small break from this review to talk about the various other ways you can engage with me on other platforms. If you're so inclined, and I understand why you wouldn't, I am an acquired taste, but you can join the Patreon where you can get extra content like retro reviews where I review old shows and movies to see if they still hold up today. Mike's Musings, where I talk about shows I'm watching that I don't cover on the channel, or Mike's VOD, where you can commission me to watch a show, which I will then review on the channel. And if you want to engage with me and chat with me more directly, I also implore you to join the Discord and follow the Facebook page. I set up channels in the Discord for all of us to discuss the shows I'm reviewing on the channel, and I also drop new videos in there, since it's the easiest platform for me to share to from my phone. The Facebook can be really fun because I sort of live comment on shows I'm watching, often while under the influence, I'm not going to lie. And I'll also share news there, both about television and film, and about myself as well. So if you like my content, you want to be more engaged, you think I'm charming, or you simply want to show support, feel free to sign up for the Patreon or join the Discord or Facebook today. Links to all platforms are in every video description. Remember to share all my shit to your respective social media platforms. And now back to this review. So let's get into what happened this week. And the episode starts by showing us that these three individuals who have captured Juliet and supposedly killed Silo have been watching Juliet since she first arrived. We also learned that they've been sabotaging a couple of her little annoying side missions that she's been on. They refer to Solo as the killer because they blame him for the death of their parents. My only real issue with this episode is I thought it did a poor job of conveying who these kids are, their relationship to one another, and what happened to them. So because I thought that was unclear, I've watched it again, and I'm going to attempt to explain that to you guys just in case it was unclear for you too, for YouTube. Like, there probably is only 2 people watching this, but unless it was also unclear for you, in case it was also unclear for you, I'm going to explain it. So, you got the 2 older kids. The boy's named Rick, the girl's named Audrey. Then they have the younger one, Eater. I thought the episode simultaneously made Rick and Audrey at first sound like brother and sister by saying that their parents were killed, but then later like a couple because they said that they had a baby which we had not even seen up to that point. But we later come to understand, or I later came to understand after having to do research because I didn't think the episode explained it good enough, Rick's mother, Tess, and Audrey's father, Chase, ended up together after the rebellion. And let me just say, I'm faulting the show for this, but it could very much be user error. Like, I was probably high, I might have missed it. But anyway, then when Eater's mother gets sick, she entrusted Eater to Chase and Tess. Being seen as nothing more than like a liability and a mouth to feed, a stomach to fill. That's how Eater got the name Eater. And Audrey in particular has treated Eater like shit ever since. I think this lack of respect that she gets from Audrey is presumably what prompted her to play possum with Juliet. And it's also probably why she wants to leave the silo with Juliet as well. Chase and Tess eventually figured out the code to the vault. They attempted to kill a young 12-year-old and sleeping Solo by shooting him. But he survives and he traps them in like an airtight space with the food and suffocated them to death. Chase and Tess are the 2 most recent dead bodies that we've already seen this season. So yes, Solo did kill their parents, just one parent each. I don't know if that's how it is in the books, but they definitely could have explained that better on the show. Or again, maybe I was just fucked up. Who knows? The blood that we saw when Juliet resurfaced from her sabotage dive was blood left by Solo after he was shot with an arrow by Audrey, and then they took Solo prisoner. So Rick offers to trade Solo for the food that Solo is protecting in the vault, but Juliet doesn't have the code, and they also won't let her talk to Solo, so her and Eater head off together to just try and figure it out. He's like, yeah, just figure it out. Like, okay. But Eater eventually shares that Tess and Chase have been writing down their guesses for the code to the vault, and that's when Juliet, me, the audience, come to the realization that that's what those numbers were on the chalkboard several episodes back. After Juliet convinces Rick and Audrey to let her talk to Solo, we learn that Solo's real name is Jimmy Conroy, and he's the son of the silo's former head of IT, Russell Conroy. Now, let me just ask you guys, were any of you like, I don't want to say surprised by that reveal, because I'm sure there are plenty of people who are like, oh shit, whatever. But even if you were surprised, were you impressed by that reveal? Was that like a mind blower? Like, oh shit, oh wow, this changes everything. Like for me, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze there. Like, the ends don't justify the means. I had to sit through 8 episodes of illogical shit that pissed me off so they could hide that basic of a reveal. Like, I don't know, man. Like, Juliet either asking the wrong questions or no questions at all. You got Solo being cagey on the rare occasions she does ask a question, and then she doesn't press him when he's cagey. Like, I had to sit through 8 episodes of Solo clearly hiding something, and the show, I think, sacrificing its own quality to keep what he's hiding hidden just for it to be that. Like, oh, I'm his son. Wow, like an unremarkable father-son relationship reveal that if you gave 100 people, one guess of who Solo is, I bet you a whole bunch of them motherfuckers is gonna say that he was Russell's son. So, like, I don't know what makes the 8 episodes of tedious, illogical bullshit even worse is that the Solo character and the show itself really kind of like, it opens. I feel like he and the show kind of open up a bit after he reveals this. Like, we learned that Solo even allowed his own father to be killed right in front of him in order to abide by the father's wishes and protect the vault. Then we get these nice scenes, right? This kind and like hopeful Solo. He's giving like a tour of the vault. He's giving people ice cream, like everything, all kinds of nice, wholesome shit. And the exclamation point on this sequence is when Juliet reveals that she found another suit. I thought that was obvious in the moment when she opens the locker, sees something, doesn't say anything, hides that she saw something from Eater, and closes the locker back. I was like, I bet she found another suit. But then Solo asked why she didn't just leave when she found the other suit, and Juliet doesn't answer, and Solo, he just puts his hand on her shoulder, and I thought, seemingly coming to the unspoken realization that she had come back for him and to help him, even though she didn't actually have to. And that hand on the shoulder, I thought it was a very nice, subtle touch, no pun intended. And I thought that was just a really great moment. My only issue with these scenes is that I feel like it doesn't work out, like, time-wise. So Steve's on. He's 57. But let's just say that the Solo character's 50. Probably younger, but we'll say 50. It doesn't work regardless. Eater, who is 12, reveals that she wasn't born yet during the rebellion and that her mother was a child. So I think we could comfortably put the rebellion at like at least 30 years in the past. If Solo was 12, which will make him 42 now, not 50, but we'll say at least 30 years. So 50 still works. If Solo was 12 when he killed Chase and Tess, how old does that make Rick and Audrey? Like they got to be at least 38. They would have had to have already been alive for Tess to be a mom and Chase to be Audrey's father. They'd have had to already been alive, and it was 30 plus years ago. So are Rick and Audrey 38 years old? They look like they're 16 to me. Like, but this is what I mean when I say like the whole Audrey Rick Solo dynamic was poorly conveyed, and this is what I mean when I talk about a show sacrificing its quality for a big reveal later. If they had if they were appropriately aged or something like that, maybe we figure this out earlier. But I mean, I again, it could be something that I'm missing, but like I just feel like this season has been very similar to the second season of House of the Dragon, where it's kind of just like we're just gonna put shit out there and just keep delaying, and eventually House of the Dragon never even fucking delivered. And this still might not fully deliver, but it just feels like I could have had a stronger season if they weren't so intent on hiding a very lame reveal. Like, it's a complex situation. It needed to be carefully explained, and it wasn't. And it was unclear. And all of that for what? To reveal that Solo is the son of the IT? Like, that, like, you sacrificed the season for that? Like, I don't know, man. But looking forward to the finale. You got to figure that Juliet is gonna make it out alive. She's probably gonna take Eater with her, and it's one thing for Juliet to return to her silo alive, but with an additional person, like what impact is that gonna have on this rebellion? Like, I'm pretty excited to see, but also worried that I won't. So over in our silo 18, we get a lot of information this week as well. Some of it predictable and underwhelming, and some of it completely mind-blowing. For example, we first see Lucas, he tells Bernard that there are 50 silos. And Bernard is like, first of all, there's 51 silos. And secondly, everybody already knows that. So go get fucked, Lucas. I was like, when you have characters in universe, like deriding and downplaying this information, why would the audience give a shit about it? I'm just sitting here laughing like, yo, he's completely shit on all of Lucas's hard work. And then Billings also comes to the shocking conclusion that he was chosen as sheriff because he'd be easy to control. And I just can't stress enough how underwhelming it was to watch Billings understand a fact that's been obvious to the audience from the moment his character was introduced, which would have been like, what, season 1, episode 1 or 2? So like, that kind of stuff doesn't work for me. Then you have another scene of Patrick delivering information, again, that we already have, while intense music plays that suggests that he's going to tell me something interesting. Like, I'm thinking he's about to say something important. The music's swelling and he's like, the display is a lie. I'm like, man, come on, bro. Like, Patrick ain't said nothing interesting yet. And I'm honestly over the display is a lie situation. Like, I'm not even invested in what Silo 18's residents believe about the displays anymore, especially because Juliet is theoretically about to return and put all speculation to rest. Now, maybe I'll care if Juliet doesn't make it back to the silo, but it seems like she probably is, and that's where this story is going. So what difference does it make with the displays? But I don't need the displays to keep getting prolonged either. But all I have to say, sure, yes, this was the best episode of the season, but it was still flawed. That's the only point I'm trying to make. Having said that, this episode also, again, it had a lot of high points, like the one I mentioned earlier with Solo, putting his hand on Juliet's shoulder. Another such scene takes place between Knox and Walker. Knox wants to know who is the snitch that told about the supply raid. And we know it was Walker because she made a deal with Bernard in order to keep Carla safe. Knox says that he's figured it out. And then the next time we see him after that, he's at Walker's door. He's also seemingly, I think, figured out that Bernard is listening. Earlier in the episode, Bernard overheard him telling Walker that they got Billings on their side now. So in this scene where he actually shows up at Martha's place after saying that he knew who the snitch was, he says out loud to Martha that the snitch is Teddy's mom, but he can't blame her for wanting to protect her son. And the way this information is conveyed in this scene, I think we're to understand in this moment that Knox does know it was Martha, and he's telling her, he's communicating to her through kind of like coded language that he understands that she did this in order to protect Carla. Then he says he has a plan for using gunpowder that they have, and I think we're also to understand that this is him feeding Bernard bad information, knowing that Bernard is listening. Like earlier in the episode, Bernard had told everyone that Billings was behind the rebels' latest assault, that they were going to steal gunpowder to blast open the silo door. Bernard is likely going to think that that's what Knox intends on doing, and he'll prepare as such, but it'll probably be a setup, and Knox will do something different entirely. And lastly, we have Lucas. After Bernard tells him and his 50 silos to get fucked, Lucas keeps translating and gets to a part about the tunnels that are down below. He goes to the down deep and he convinces Shirley to take him to Juliet and George's special place that we saw plenty of in season 1. Lucas tells Shirley that the water should be higher than it is, and he bets that there are pumps down there that even mechanical doesn't know about. He descends down the rope just as Juliet did last season, dangles over the water just as she did at the end of episode 1, before dropping in and discovering that he can just stand up in it. He finds a tunnel and he reaches a doorway. Everything going according to plan for your boy at this point. He's like, this is all how I saw it going. And same thing for me. I'm like, this is all how I saw it going. Dating all the way back to season 1, episode 1. I know exactly what's about to happen now. And instead of what I was certain was absolutely going to be happening, a 17 on that door, the tunnel lights up and a voice identifies Lucas by name. The door says that only 3 other people have reached this point: Salvador Quinn, Judge Meadows, and George. I think it says Mary Meadows, but that's Judge Meadows and George, Juliet's George. It also mentions that it didn't speak to George, which is an interesting little tidbit as well. So it had the conversation with Quinn and Judge Meadows that it's about to have with Lucas. And if he ever speaks in this conversation, it's going to initiate the safeguard. And Lucas claims to know what that is. I mean, that was an absolutely mind-blowing ending. I did not see that coming. Absolutely loved it. And it made this show interesting again. Like, first off, what the fuck is that thing? What's with the talking door? We can just start right there. But for example, going back to Judge Meadows, like, she made it that far. How? Like, what path did she take to get there? Like, we know we can kind of make some assumptions about Salvador Quinn's path because his path has kind of led Lucas here. But well, how did Meadows get there? I mean, how did George get there as well? But really, how did Meadows get there? And then this information completely recontextualizes a lot of what we observed with Meadows this season. Like, we learned that 1 minute she was Bernard's shadow, and then the next she completely fucked off and got a drinking problem. Well, now we know it's probably because of what the door said to her. It's probably because of what the door said to her. So are we going to hear what the door has to say? Probably not. Or will Lucas just return a changed man and acting differently, and we're going to have to sit here and wonder what the fuck did the door say to him? And then maybe Juliet returns, and that's how we start to kind of like play out whatever it is that the door says. And this also recontextualizes her request to leave the silo. Like, how much of that request is based on what she learned from whatever it is that the door said to her. Also, why didn't it talk to George? Like, it talked to Salvador Quinn, who was the head of IT. It talked to Judge Meadows, who was the shadow for the head of IT, Bernard. And it talked to Lucas, who is also the shadow of the head of IT in Bernard. So maybe it's some sort of like hierarchical snobbery by this door, but I'm still curious to learn about that too. Like, why is it picking and choosing who it talks to? And then also, it talked to Salvador Quinn, the head of IT, and then 2 head of IT shadows. Why hasn't it talked to Bernard? Like, Bernard couldn't make this out. But I'm also curious about whatever favor that Billing supposedly asked of Sims now that apparently Sims' wife is going to do instead. That's an interesting little thing to look forward to in the finale as well. But even though this episode was good and it set up some things to look forward to in the finale, I'm still pretty concerned. I've now gotten something of like a PTSD of sorts from shows setting things up and then not delivering. Either not delivering at all or the new tactic in 2024 of delay. So while I understand that the finale has great potential, I'm not hopeful because at this point, season 2 of Silo has basically produced 2 good episodes out of 9 while heavily employing the delay tactic. So I don't really have cause for hope. But let me know what you thought about episode 9. That's a shitty, that's a very dark and deep way to end this. But let me know what you thought about. I have no hope. Let me know what you thought about episode 9 in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking about the finale, what you're hoping to see, what you think of season 2 as a whole, or you can save that for once we watch the finale. And until then, hopefully I will get this watched on, I'm going to be out of town on Friday. So we will look for this, look for my video for episode 10 on Saturday, Sunday, or Monday. So, and Monday at the absolute latest because I'm off the following Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So, all that done. Until then, peace.